Thank you for the follow, Eduardo. I appreciate it. Really do. Hmm. Let me check the audio levels here. Make sure we're good. How do we sound? We think we sound good. I think. Hopefully the audio might be a little loud. Let me test that again. Or the music might be a little loud. All right, how about that? All right, I think that's good. Hmm. All right. I think I am about ready. I don't plan on being on here all night, but I was itching to finally get to doing some entity component system stuff that I've honestly been trying to do past couple of streams, but I keep getting interrupted by issues with my project not compiling and going on tangents and getting those fixed. But all that's fixed now. I'm pretty sure my repo here is running green. Watch it all be red and everything's going awful. Everything's green for now. I think Clang Tidy needs a lot of work still, but as long as it's green, it's not a problem. So I think I literally just want to play around with flecs and see what I can do with it. I've used it a little bit, but not really done much with it. I got a little app drawing. Ooh, that kind of covers up the chat, doesn't it? That's probably fine. I can give it a darker color. What color do we make it? Let's do one RGB. 125 100 100. Let's see what that looks like. Hey, there we go. That's a little better. Chat can still be seen. I can, of course, resize it. Boom. Oh, someone messaged me. All right. Flex. Flex is where this is at. And flex it shall be. Except I don't think this is actually how I want to include flex, because I've already ran into issues that I had to patch and fix. And since I'm on Windows, I need it. So it's going to be this, which is including awinflex.hpp. Okay. So then I should be able to just create a world. I want to wrap all this up and put it away so I can work under main, make this a little cleaner. So let's just do auto run SDL void. I'm literally just gonna frickin' put all this in there. See what that looks like. Oh, did I accidentally get rid of... Oh, I sure did. Integer. Return exit success. Perfect. Not perfect. Perfect. Okay, I have a clean main. So now I should be able to do... I can create a world. I can create an entity. And it should compile. Well, okay, unused variable, but still. I'm thinking about how I want to define a window as a collection of components, or like a composition of components, if you will. Because usually the object-oriented way of doing something is you'll define a class window, and it's going to do all the initialization stuff, and you're going to have all kinds of properties on this to control the window. Makes sense. The window is, in fact, an object, in my opinion. It looks like an object. You can see it, you can touch it, you can resize it, all that fun stuff, right? But that's boring. We've already done object-oriented programming with C++. Now I want to do entity component or data composition programming with C++. So instead of like a class with a bunch of implementation detail encapsulated away, I want to create like a struct. And this struct is going to have a title, right? What else do we need to create a window? Create window, it needs a width, a height. Ooh, window flags. So we need window flags. I don't like that way of writing this. If I want to make this bits, well, honestly, I would just do this. That way, if SDL ever under the hood changes its definition of its macros, we automatically get the updated version of those macros. So we would do something like this, and our structs for composition purposes is just going to be pure data. So what else do we need to keep this data going? I'm going to automatically handle that. So we have title, width, height. So let's give it a width and a height, I guess. Probably has a position too, if I think about it. Okay. But of course, as we all know, you do not anymore, you do not leave your member variables uninitialized if you can help it. So this will at least ensure that our member variables will be initialized to 0 when we initialize our window. Hey Andor, how's it going? Thank you for the follow, my unknown. Actually, you know what? The YouTube people who are following, I assume you're just subscribing. You're probably not watching live. That's probably just a standard subscription notification. Hard to tell. I'm still learning. I'm still figuring this out. I feel like talking a little lower, so I'm gonna bring the mic a little closer to my mouth. There we go. How's that? Coming in loud and clear, I hope. Hopefully not too loud. I have been told that I am a loudspeaker sometimes. So, instead of a class, we'll define a struct of data that defines what a window is, and we'll just start there. So this entity is really our window. And it's an entity of type window. Ooh. Holy auto formatting Batman. There we go. Gotta love the new trailing commas for C++. As a long needed feature. Hi Andor, how's it going? Oh, this is interesting. You said hi once, but you can probably see it. My widget here on the stream is showing that you said hi 3 times. I'm still learning, still figuring this out. All right, so we create our window entity, which isn't going to do anything yet. Windows centered? I don't think that's what I want to do. I want to do something like I don't know why, but whenever I deal with like application windows, I always like to default X and Y to 8080 because it guarantees the title bar will be not rendered off screen, and we can just put the window in the top left corner. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. That was weird. So you are the first person to ever comment on my stream with this new chat overlay that I am trying. So I'm still figuring out. So you're gonna be my beta tester, whether you like it or not. I also know we can eventually do world.run, or no, is it progress? World.progress. Ooh, which might just be 1 frame. So we'll have to hang on to that idea. I might do, instead of auto window, I'll do a standard ignore for now. Stood ignore, if you will. Oh, it didn't like, oh, I gotta close the application. Okay. So yeah, I created a entity that's going to represent the window, but I didn't actually like hook it up to any of this code, which that makes sense. I still got to actually do that. So what would that look like in the grand scheme of things? I think we have to set up some stuff. And I think Flex has a way to observe when a window is created. So is it like world.observe for the window type? Oh, look at this. My AI is auto. Okay, we can work with this. There's no way I can. Okay. So we get our entity. with our window type. I don't really need the entity, and I think Flex supports not having it here. And this is doing a print, but I don't really need to do a print. What I really need to do is create the window, right? So in the meantime, I think I should keep track of these pointers because I don't know exactly how I want to manage this memory yet. So that's going to be an SDL window, SDL GPU device, SDL renderer. So we'll do SDL window, SDL GPU device, SDL renderer. That way I can make sure I clean all this up down here. And then the init portion of this, I can also do like right here, I guess. Okay. I should still compile. It doesn't because window is unused. That makes sense. So now I want to actually create the window. Passing in these pointers. So we'll just do const auto x to represent the window type. So this now becomes doink, doink, doink. X window, this becomes x dot width, height. And then flags, we're actually gonna have to do a conversion. Hey, sub to you today. Saw you, your rule of 5 short. Glad to know you. By the way, I wonder what you think about Rust. I have not used Rust. Not for any particular reason. That's not true actually. I have not written Rust, but I have used Rust libraries to integrate with some software I've been writing professionally speaking. And you know, it's another systems programming language, right? It will anything you can do with code, you can do with Rust just as much as you could do with like C, C++, and maybe eventually Zig. Yeah. Maybe someday I'll take a stab at it and play around with it. I'm sure it will be a pain in my butt because I'm so used to the C++ ecosystem that you'll probably see a lot of floundering happening. But yeah, as far as I know and as far as I've heard, Rust is pretty cool. There are some really cool libraries out there that are being written in Rust. So kudos to all the developers out there putting forth all this effort. I've actually used one of the libraries. It's called Zeno. Okay, so we need to do. I need to do like a switch statement, I think. Oh, there we go. It's doing it. Not a switch statement, but a binary test. So we got resizable, high density. This will add it to our flags list, so that's good. Create our window, create our renderer when the window is set. I'm also going to need a system to run the graphics. What's going on here? What did I do wrong? Device is read only. Really? Do I have to make the lambda mutable? Uh-oh. Now everything's going wrong. I could be using flex incorrectly. That would not surprise me one bit. Yeah, I wonder if I'm using it incorrectly. Yeah, expected. Candidate expects one argument to provided on line 98. I might be using this wrong. So let me do window. Well, let me try that first. Make sure maybe it couldn't resolve the template. Okay, that wasn't it. All right, so let me do flex entity. Man, why is my tool spamming your message? That is so weird. I'm gonna have to figure that out. What about AI? AI is another tool. You know, it's another tool in the line of tools that developers use, right? Do you know what makes debugging easier? A tool that lets you step through code. Do you know what makes debugging even easier? Having AI parse all the code and the context to help you traverse and figure out what the issue is. So you know, it's another tool. Now, I am aware of what is actively being talked about with AI and software engineers, and whether it actually is going to replace us or not. Hard to say. You're still going to need engineers who know how a computer works, right? You're still going to need engineers who know how software works. You can't. I mean, at least at least today, you can't just describe a complex app or system and have the AI like just work, right? You still need to have some kind of expertise or domain knowledge to really dig in and make sure everything is working as you expect it to. Will it eliminate some jobs? Probably. Which, you know, it sucks. It really does. But that's kind of how the world works. New technologies come out, automations occur, productivity increases, the rich get richer, and then the cycle continues. And on top of that, I continue to get compile errors. Does it not like my mutable shindig that I tried to do here? Oh, wait. Do I need... Oh, I'm dumb. Well, I shouldn't have to do this. These are... I'm dumb. I bet I had to do this. You didn't see this. Let's try this. Okay, we're getting somewhere now. Um... Oh, I never had a... What do I do? I'll do a standard uint 32. Now, I don't recommend actually doing it this way. This will be good enough for now. So then when I create, I want to be able to say, hey, dot flags. Gosh darn it. It's getting better, isn't it, Joe? I'm slowly becoming the streamer I was meant to be, which is lots and lots of compile errors. Look away. You came in at the wrong time. Just give me a moment. Let me finish. Let's see. Flags go above X. And we can't actually do it this way. I need to, have I written that? I used to have a class designed for bitmasks, but I don't know if it's a part of this project. It's not, so I'll have to write that at some point. In the meantime, we're gonna cheat and not use modern C++. Remember, do as I say, not as I do. And we're gonna get rid of this class designator, and these will be treated as integers. Okay, there we go. So we observe when a window component is created. When that component is created, we initialize an SDL window. I am curious what will happen if I initialize multiple entities with windows. What if I create like 500 entities? Will I get 500 windows appear on my screen? I don't know if SDL support. I assume SDL supports multiple windows. Create the window. That's not right. We want the title. X.title. Okay. So far, so good. Let's go ahead and set this to exit success. We'll stop running our SDL code that already works. All right, so we initialize SDL. When we see a window component get set on set, I don't know if this is actually how that's supposed to work or not. We will initialize our pointers. I will need a system. So a system is basically going to be this running loop. So world dot. Oh, is there an on remove? I wonder if this gets called. You know what? We're gonna try it. We're just gonna try it. No guessing. Just try. I will comment this out. When the world gets destroyed, are the objects actually technically removed? I feel like they aren't. I can probably debug this. Oh, shoot, I'm still on MinGW. Let's switch to debug. I love Skyrim. I think I actually don't know how many total hours I had. I have like 400, 500 or something like that on Steam. But before Steam, I played it all the time on Xbox. And before that, it was Oblivion. I played the crap out of Oblivion. I played a little bit of Morrowind on computer. I was a little young back then, so I didn't quite understand how you were supposed to play Morrowind. So all I ever did was enter the console mode and give yourself like infinite flying and infinite resources to build spells, and I would just fly around like I was Goku and laying waste to all the cities in Morrowind. That was a lot of fun. Okay, so everything compiled. I don't expect much to happen here. So I think I just want to put breakpoints to make sure this stuff is actually getting hit. Here as well. Okay. Let's debug this. Debug, we want to change this to Karen. Hit play. Okay, so we make it here. So when this gets set, so when this returns, we should, in theory, get into this code. What is step into, step over? Okay, we're in here. That's good. We have window flags. That's good. We create a window. Oh, there's a window. Create a device. That's good. Let's hit continue. Ooh, on remove does get called, which means cleanup will happen. That is awesome. Heck yeah. That's so cool. Who needs object-oriented programming and RAII when you can just do things as data? Hey, Epic. I I hesitate to say I'm coding anything specific right now. I am learning I wouldn't say learning. I am using an entity component system API and library called Flecs, and I am learning its like how to use it to do graphic rendering, creating a window, drawing UI, that kind of thing with C++. The project I have here compiles on every platform, including Android and the web. So I like to as I'm building this up, make sure that it's still working for all those platforms. And I have a GitHub Actions that compiles all that fun stuff, right? So it's just me tinkering right now. Long term, well, maybe medium term. I have a video game I've been building in Godot. I'm not the biggest fan of the workflow and the productivity that I'm experiencing with Godot while streaming. And so I thought it would be a fun experiment for myself to maybe transition my Godot game into pure C++ and see if that's any better, or if the what's the word? The viscosity of having to compile every time you make a change slows me down. But there are solutions to that as well, right? I can just do serialization to JSON, YAML, TOML, or a custom script to handle all the data I want to change on the fly while running the game. And then if I do that, I might be able to do some hot reloading with C++ as well. Time will tell. Or maybe someone comes in here and was like, "Hey, how do you do this?" And maybe I can give some examples on how to do stuff. I don't know. I'm still finding my way. Richard Fabian, that name rings a bell. That name sounds so familiar. I've read so much over the years that I've probably forgotten half of what I've read at this point. Okay, so this is cool. So when I add a window component, we'll see that it happens, initialize an SDL window, and then when the world is destroyed, when we leave scope, it will automatically call on remove and make sure this stuff gets called. So that's cool. That makes this possible. So now I need a component, entity component system. So now I need the system portion, the portion of this that actually runs the logic to run my render loop, which is this guy right here. So I'll copy it and see if I can toss it into a system. And I totally remember how to do this. World.system. For every window, I guess. And if this works, okay, so this running flag has to get set to something. Otherwise, this won't work, I don't think. Actually, because it'll stay. Oh, no, I don't know. This won't work, because if I do this, then we enter this system and we get stuck in this loop and we never leave the system, and then the application just never proceeds because the system is what is looping. So we actually need to get rid of this loop. So I do need to store running as state somewhere. This will probably end up on a component at some point, but in the meantime, I'm going to cheat and just put it here. Until I figure out what I want to do with that. Oh, wait. That doesn't make sense either, because I'm not checking a running flag. So if we're not running, just leave this. This isn't gonna work. That's not how this works. Because we have to tell the entity component system to keep moving. So we still need the flag, that's true. Yep, we still need the flag. But we're gonna use the running flag to loop over world here. So this will be while running. Something like that, I think. And then first try. Ooh. Running is true. Oh. We don't we don't want to do the rendering inside the event loop. That doesn't make sense. I got my all right, I'm sure that was the issue. Let's try this again. Pause. First try. Again. Dang it. Stupid programming. Stupid programming. All right. So my guess is I am not passing this. Or I am passing that when I shouldn't. So running is true. The only time running becomes false is if we're here or here. So let's go ahead and run it in debug real quick. All right, so we're going to create our component window. Done. Creating the component window initializes the SDL window. Cool. We'll continue. While running is true, we'll hit progress. Oh, do we just never get... I'm curious if we ever get in here too. I should make sure of that. So then we come in here. Okay, we're in here. That's good. Do we have any events? We don't. Okay, so we're continuously looping. That's good. That's what we want. What the heck? If that's the case, why is my window not showing? Wait, is it showing and I didn't know? Hang on, stand by. It might actually be showing and I had it minimized. Wait, it's working. What? Am I crazy? Was it working before and I just wasn't paying attention? Hang on. Okay, so I hit close. I hit the X button, which is SDL event quit, which sets running to false. Which means we leave that loop, and now we're in our, we've left the scope of main somewhere here. Yeah, world destruction, main. Yep, so we're leaving the scope of main. Cool. So let's continue, and it should close. All right, maybe I'm crazy. I'm going to try that again. Now I'm just going to run it. No breakpoints. Because if sometimes breakpoints gives things a chance to like initialize, whereas if you didn't have it, it wouldn't. I thought it wasn't working. All right, I'm not going to question it because like it should work. It looked like it was supposed to work. Cool. All right, so we are back. we are back where I left off yesterday, but now I'm using a entity component system to initialize this instead of what you would normally do, which is encapsulate all of your logic inside a class. Why? Because I feel like it. Is it better? Who knows? We're going to find out. So I don't need all this code now. So I don't need this. Oh, guys. I've been running the MinGW version of my application from yesterday this whole time. So even when I made changes, that's a rookie mistake. No one saw that. Let's see, Windows MSVC. So I just did this for debug, correct? Installed bin Carwin. Okay. Whew. Yeah, we're still good. It still works. We're good. All right. Everything's good. I know what I'm doing. Most of the time. Part of the time. All right, cool. So this, I mean, this works. This is awesome. So let's turn this into what? C++ 20, C++ 23 modules, all that fun stuff. I have a bunch of that already, but it's more object oriented than entity component because that's what like this stuff here is. Like I have a window class that wraps all of the SDL initialization inside this window class. Bunch of code. So instead, I want to try and do the Flex has a way to define modules itself, where you can do all this registration stuff and encapsulate that registration stuff inside a module. And then I'll just use C++ modules and do like import awin.sdl and call it a day. You know, that kind of thing. So we'll see how feasible that is. Yeah, there's still like I think for me, my personal experience, I have been successful with getting modules to mostly work with Clang 22, GCC 15, and Visual Studio 22. The big headache that I run into is third-party libraries which were never written with modules in mind, right? It's all headers and CPP files. And if the headers, a lot of times the big culprit is static globals that are written in header files that don't play nice with modules because of this like local translation unit issue, the same issue we ran into yesterday. So Flex is another one of those libraries that has that issue, which is why I wrote a software patch for it to fix all that up. But yeah, it's we're getting there, and I haven't tried import standard yet either. I know that has issues as well playing with third-party libraries. So the dream is to never have to write pound include ever again. Because I'm not ready to mess with this stuff that I've already done, I kind of want to do, what should I do? I need like a version 2 or maybe I just call it ECS. Maybe that's what I do. I'll do a new folder, SDL, ECS, and then with the long-term plan to replace this with the SDL ECS version. So of course, when you're writing a new library, it's a CMake list. And after that, I'm just gonna like freaking copy and paste. Because I am lazy. I don't need all of this. I do need... I don't think I need core. SDL, I need SDL3, I need the SDL text. I do need a module. New file, module.ixx. I think we'll start there, and I'll just like, we'll start big, and then as I narrow this in scope, I'll start breaking all the pieces out to build the API up. So let's start with that and add our SDL ECS subdirectory. And we'll call this awin SDL ECS as well, which means my Carwin app needs to link against it. Awin SDL ECS. So now I'm going to not link against widget. I still need to link against Awin Flex for the Flex APIs. Then we'll watch all hell break loose. First try, let's go. Groceries here. Oh, hi Trill. What are you doing? Huh? You have food. What are you doing? Silly cat. All right, so what failed? Something failed. Did I need to configure it first? Oh, modules. I didn't define a module, so it's failing to like generate a mod map file because I don't have a module defined. I just have a file. So inside here, I think at a minimum, you need to do like export module, something like that. Oh. Ooh, I might not be able to have dashes in a module name. That probably makes sense. So we'll do that. Hey, don't you scratch my rug, you little twerp. What are you doing? What are you doing? Okay, so I, for the most part, think I want to export everything, so I'm just going to put it at the namespace level. We'll call it Awen SDL ECS. It's already ahead of me there. I don't know why it generated this using namespace. I don't think I need that. I will need a header file, the only header file I currently have in this project, so we got a prefix with module here to include it. Awen flex HPP. Ooh, I will need SDL as well. Include SDL3. So we'll do this. And then I need a class called module. We'll make it explicit. Module requires the flex world, which is where we will handle registering our flex parts. Hello, sir. Can I ask what are you doing? Because I don't know. That is a fair question to ask. I don't know either. I am writing and talking at the same time, and I'm gonna see what happens. But to be more specific, it depends on how much you know and how much you understand when I say it. C++, more modern C++, version 23, eventually 26 once enough of the compilers support reflections, because at some point I do want to explore reflections. What you are looking at on the screen here is an entity component system library designed around doing data-oriented development versus object-oriented programming. Data-oriented, what is it actually called? Data-driven development, right? The triple D versus OOP. So we're doing triple D programming, not OOP programming, you know? And I am using SDL3, which is a graphics rendering library, to explore that. So that's kind of where things are at right now. All right, so now I can move the registration stuff I did in main into this file. Except for... I need to figure out this running state. Because this needs to be like on a component or something. Or completely... Yeah, it needs to be on a component so that the system can get access to it. So it's almost like I could just have a... I like to call, when I'm building applications, I like to always have something called a kernel, which is like the root of everything. It's the thing that controls timing and stuff like that. So we'll just say kernel for now. Subject to change. So we'll have a kernel component. And I think I can set this on, like, make it a global in the flex world by adding it to a system or something? I don't remember. 40% went into your brain. I appreciate that at least 40% went in. That is awesome. Okay. You don't, okay, so you don't know coding. Oh my gosh. Oh, I apologize. This isn't going to make a lick of sense to you. Um, what's a good example here? So you know, like do you see this text editor right here? I'm dragging it around on my screen, which, okay, yeah, you see this thing I'm resizing over and over? That is a window. I am writing code to create a window that does this, right? So that's kind of what I'm doing right now, and I'm exploring different ways of doing that with modern language concepts. Stand by. All right. So that's kind of where things are at. Hopefully that makes some kind of sense. I hope. Maybe at some point, if I get enough interest, I might play some like games or stuff like that because that's kind of where my interests lie. It's either going to be programming or gaming. Magic the Gathering, if you're into that. That's about it. Uh, okay, so I got the running flag on a struct. I need to figure out how to make it like a global component. So can I do like world dot I actually don't know how to do this. I'm gonna have to Google this. Stand by. Nope, that's the component API. I mean, it's possible to learn for me. I'm kind of doing some more advanced stuff, but I wouldn't be opposed if there's enough like new people to programming watching. I definitely would not be opposed to simplifying what I'm working on and give more of a like step by step and kind of walk through my thought process as to like why I do things and why I write things the way I do. Because right now, my current project is fairly complex in its nature of being able to compile and run on multiple systems. Whereas if you're learning to code, step one is just, writing a little bit of code and understanding why you would write it, right? I wouldn't be opposed to it. Just need to get enough interest. I love story games myself. Baldur's Gate 3 is one of my favorite games from a story RPG perspective that I've ever played. I've streamed it a couple times. Baldur's Gate 3 is a little hard to stream, I think, because you either got to like focus on the story and the gameplay or focus on chat, and it's like how do you make that entertaining, especially when I'm like still learning. Um, I also do Rocket League. But I'm also not good enough at Rocket League to be like, oh man, he's so awesome. We all need to watch him do some really cool moves. Uh, there is a way to do this. I have seen it done before. I don't remember how to do it, and it's hurting my brain. Ooh, maybe I've. Where would I have done that? Is it in here? I have like a scene graph written in flecs in here. Is this where I did it? Window result. That creates the window. Are we using flex in here? Doesn't look like it. Ooh, maybe we are. But are we using a global? That is the question. I'm not seeing one. Hmm. That's a fair point, Joe. That's actually a fair point. I for the longest time I haven't been the biggest fan of turn-based games, but some of the best games I've ever played have always been turn-based. Like when I was a kid, Quest 64 on Nintendo 64, one of the best RPGs I ever played as a kid growing up. It was turn-based. Star Ocean on Xbox 360, amazing game. I never got into the Final Fantasy series. Um, the original Baldur's Gate games, which aren't really turn-based. They're more like pause and wait. I appreciate that, Neil. I'll definitely take that into consideration. I I have had a spike in attention due to a YouTube short that has garnered a lot more attention than I ever thought would happen, and it's kind of blowing my mind. So I want to give people an opportunity to come in and at least say hi or say, hey, C++ sucks, you suck, you know, that kind of thing, and see what kind of audience is going to come of that. But I will try. It's tough because I work full time. I would love to be able to be like, hey, on Mondays, this is what we'll do. On Tuesdays, this is what we'll do. And then Thursdays is always like game night, right? Let's have a game night. I'll work on that. I'll figure that out. We'll see what happens. All right, people. What the heck? How do I... You know what? We're just going to do an inline... All right, we're going to cheat. It's AI time. I apologize. So, okay. You want to talk about AI taking a job? This would be one of those things where, like, as a senior engineer, I would hit up my intern, not even a junior developer. I would just hit up my intern and be like, hey, dude, I don't know how to do this. Can you do some research for me and figure out different ways to use this API and then come back to me while I go to meetings? And then I'll come back from a meeting and they'll be like, oh yeah, here, blah blah blah. I'm like, oh awesome, that's what we needed, right? So let's see how good this works. I would like to register. Let's just do an integer so I can learn the API. Register an int. Not register. That's the wrong word. I would like to add an int as a global component to the world. I wonder if it's literally going to be .add. I'm going to be sad. Is that real? Really? You know what? Let's find out. Let's find out. Let's not question it. We can literally find out. So they're saying to do .component kernel. And then I should be able to access this kernel inside Windows system somehow. Oops. Is this wrong? Except I don't want this to be const. I want this to be a k. And then this needs to be k.running. K.running. World dot... Well, see, this is doing .entity.get kernel, which I don't know... That's not what I want. Nah, something's wrong. Yeah, that's the AI. Yeah, you're right. Right. That's the thing, right? I think AI is going to be as powerful as the engineer or person who wields it. Because it's a statistical model, right? It doesn't think. It's not really AI. It's an LLM. It's a language model. It statistically determines what it thinks it doesn't even think. It statistically determines what the best output is based on your inputs. Create the world is we create. Oops. Create an entity. I mean, maybe I'm just being dumb. Maybe I just create an entity for a kernel. I'm just being dumb. Let's just create an entity for a kernel. All right. So we're gonna have a kernel and call it world.set .running equals true, right? We'll just do that. Don't you tell me to tab it away, you stupid AI. See that nonsense? It was like, hey, you don't need this. Well, it can go to hell. What's it saying? Try block requires at least one. Try block? All right, my IntelliSense is failing me. So this creates an entity. This is a system that loops over any kernel and window. No, I would need a single entity to have both the kernel and window. That's the issue I'm running into. All right, let's do this. I'm gonna cheat. I would like a kernel entity that contains the state of my application, like whether it should be running or not. I would like to modify this value when the window is closing. I don't need a powerful one. Yeah, I think so. I think hey Z, I think especially if you are familiar with concepts, AI is very powerful at helping you get caught up to speed with different APIs and design patterns, that kind of thing. Having had my head in frameworks like Qt for application development, OpenGL for graphics development, modeling and simulation frameworks, that kind of stuff, and having to like manually write a bunch of that stuff over the years, it's a lot easier for me to be like, oh yeah, I know exactly what I need, so I know exactly what to ask for, and I have a better idea of what I'm looking at after it produces something. I would never expect like my junior dev to be like, hey, go generate a modeling and simulation framework, and be like, yeah, that's good. And I was like, no, I still need to review that code. We got to make sure it's like it knows what it's doing. I've had a lot of success using it to learn Flutter, for instance. Oh, am I just being dumb? This kind of makes sense. It's like, use the kernel to run then, doofus. But something's going to have to maintain the state of these pointers at some point. Okay, kernel running true. I don't want to deal with a string right now. We'll deal with that later. All right, let's see if I completely broke anything or if everything is still like behaving as expected. What the heck is going on here? Failed module. I just want to compile my code. There we go. All right, let's see what happens. All right, we still have the window. Good. Everything's still good. If I close it, it closes. Perfect. All right. I still think there's a way to do what I want, but I'm probably searching for it incorrectly. But this makes sense, I guess. We'll have a kernel that manages like run state. I'm eventually going to need something to keep track of these pointers. Something is going to have to... Oh, man. And this is almost going to be like a graphics loop. So that's going to be like a separate pipeline we're going to need for the component system. But anyway, back to the C++ module I was implementing. The whole reason I needed this in the first place is the kernel. The kernel is not an SDL component. And because it's not an SDL component, I don't want it to live with SDL, but the SDL is going to need it. So I am going to... What am I going to do? You know what? Screw it. In the interest of making a little bit more progress, I'm just going to move it on to here for now. Wait, what the hell are all these parameters? Window is not null. Device is null. Oh, shoot. How has this been working? Have I... Whoops. It's probably been working because I haven't been using shaders. SDL, GPU. Let's change it back to DirectX. Device. All right, what is it called? Shader format. D... XL, I guess. This just never worked and I didn't realize. How do I run this again? Play. Yeah, device is null. I think I've been doing this. I've been getting lucky. Didn't even realize. All right, so apparently we don't actually need the device to be... Wait, can I just... Wait, if it's null, can I just do null pointer and not check this? I don't know. I don't get it. I mean, I kind of get it. Okay, we really are only going to need this device stuff when I'm ready to use shaders anyway, so we'll leave that alone for now. I'm not writing shaders anytime soon. I'm more worried about figuring out the entity component system. Okay, so now that that's working and I've got that figured out, back to the module I was writing. So in here, we're going to create this module class, and we are going to move. We're going to move all of this into that module. It's going to need to know this window thing. So what we'll do is create a new file called components, which we'll stick all of our components in. A, B, C, D. C becomes before M. Export module Alwyn SDL ECS components. Export namespace Alwyn SDL ECS. So then I need this guy. And I'm gonna need SDL header, so I need to do this. I'm gonna need to include string as well. We'll import our components library to get access to the window struct. We don't have access to these pointers, which I think I can store on the module type itself, or I'll at least try for now. We'll probably eventually want to store that somewhere else, maybe. I am very unsure with what I just said there, aren't I? Probably, maybe, potentially, you know, that kind of thing. Okay, so yep, so we'll do that. That gives us access to our member variables, except they're private member variables. And I have set up Clang Tidy to yell at you if you don't postfix with underscores. So let's tab, 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 tab. A warning is being treated as an error. But it shouldn't be yelling at me about third-party code. That shouldn't be the issue. That should work. I don't need... I still need to include this. Unless I'm supposed to... Wait, am I supposed to import now before I include headers? I honestly don't remember. I don't need print anymore. What the heck's going on? Oh, I've ran into this before. Oh, man. How did I fix this? I think it's... I wonder if it's a... it might be a flag I set. Let me check. Where would I have set that? Do I know what flag it is? 2220? I'm ignoring 4702, 4127. Not doing anything there. That's so annoying. Unreachable code. ECS type action. If it's an enum, do something. Otherwise, oh, I wonder, no. Is the issue my unscoped enum? Non-scoped enum? If I did that... And did, where do I do this check at? All right, I tried. Go. All right, I'm gonna let that run for a sec. I'm gonna grab a drink of water and use the bathroom. Be right back. Come on, cat. Let's go. Oh, in my cup. All right, how's it looking? How's it looking? The SDL ECS target includes flex, but doesn't link on flex to the WD4702 interface compile option. Oh, I forgot the link against it. Wait. So the AI is choosing to ignore the warning versus actually having me link against it? Is that what's happening? What change did it make? Or no, I am linking against... Add all in flex is... Oh, so maybe... Okay, so maybe I did forget to add it. All right, let's see if it builds. All right, whoops. Ooh. What is this? Uh-oh. Now I think we're linking against it too many times because we're doing static linkage. All right. Turn on the big guns. It thought it knew and it didn't. All right. I'm going to use the bathroom real quick. Okay. I've done exactly this before. Just get it working and then you end up adjusting it the way you want. Yep, that's exactly how you do it. Enable if issue. That's weird. I'm missing something. I wonder if... Not had this issue before. Already defined. Okay, 2 fixes applied. Main reordered the include headers. Okay, so I did have to... So, okay, so you do have to import after including. I thought that was the case. I forgot I did that. What was the other fix? Added operator overloads for the flags. Okay, that's fine. So created operator overloads to do bitmask operations, which is fine. I mean, the real solution, personally, is I would implement a type safe class or type, if you will, to handle these operations for me. That way it's a little more explicit about like if you're adding a flag or removing a flag or clearing a flag versus just having a pipe or an ampersand or an XOR. Makes it a lot more easy to read with no overhead. But that's a future me problem. Okay, there we go. Oops. All right. Okay, so we create a window. While the window is running, keep going. Now, it did not... Oh, okay, so the whole point of creating this module class is to be able to register it with the flex world. And it automatically like handle all this code for us in main. So now I should be able to do world.import my module And now we have a window. So we have made a much simpler a much simpler API. Now it might still be a little complicated, but a simpler API using entity components. So we'll still work on some of this, but it's working. Let's see, where am I? Okay, so we don't need the device yet. We've got a window rendering. Okay. So we need essentially we need a renderer to handle components. I also don't like the static casting of my enums because I want that solution in place too. I'm really surprised I don't have that solution here. I put it. Oh, it's in a different repo. Hang on. I'm gonna grab it and put it in here. Okay, got it. So I have a class I've written and updated over the years called enummask, which allows you to use your enumerations as bitmasks with type safety. So you don't have to be passing around a bunch of integers and hoping and praying people use the integers correctly. I heavily documented this back in the day. Cool. Except we're not in Druid anymore. This is going to be Alwyn. Ooh, I don't have my concepts. I need to bring in my concepts as well. All right, let me see if I actually need that. I don't need that right now. So I'll just add it here. So we have type traits. So I don't need concepts. Instead, what I'll do is I'll create a concept. No, or AI will automatically create it for me. There we go. Okay, so we have a type enum concept, so the code will only compile if you pass in an enumeration type into this class. We support initializer lists. Let me add this. A, B, C, D, enum mask.ixx. Cool. All right, so now I should be able to use this enum mask instead of needing to do a bunch of operator overloads inside here. This now becomes export, import, enum mask. Is that namespace correct? Alwyn core? Yep. Okay. So I don't need this anymore. So we have an enum mask type, and then wherever we use this, which is in our module here, we do a different kind of test. We say flags dot test Windows resizable. All right, so if we have high pixel density, if we have resizable, then append That works. And then in main, we don't do this. Instead, we do something like this, I think. Will that work? Could not find awencore.enummask inside components. Import awencore enummask. Oh, that's probably because I'm not linking against. Whoops. You didn't see that. You guys did not see that. All right, we're getting closer. It doesn't like, could be const self. Line 19. Is it, wait, is it telling me to make it const? Or is it not liking this? Hang on. It might not like this. I was worried about that. Cannot convert initializer list to const type. Oh. Yes, right. That makes sense. I need to do... Need to do that, I think. Do I actually need to specify? Or can it implicitly... Heck yeah, I didn't have to specify the template. All right, cool. It would be cooler if I didn't need to specify enummask. But that's okay. Okay, so let's see if that works. Boom. We got a window still. We are looking good. Hello, what is IXX extension? IXX extension is what I am currently using for C++ modules. Where did I get that from? I think I literally just Googled what should my extension be for C++ modules. And the first thing I saw was IXX, so that's what I did. I think I have also seen you could use CPPM as for modules. So if we look like CPP modules extensions. So I was just trying to land on something that like was standard or relatively standard. Unfortunately, with C++, you can give your file extensions whatever the heck you want. Right here, .ixx. It's a MSVC Visual Studio standard, the default for module interface units in Microsoft Visual Studio. So I guess that's where I got it. For Clang and GCC, it's CPPM. So cool. Everyone has their own extension to do all of this for. So that's just fantastic. I started with IXX because I saw it first, and it's one letter less than CPPM, so I'm sticking with it for now until someone tells me otherwise. But that's where I got it from. Okay, so officially I can create an entity window. I can add a component to it called a window. Does this return? Can I do this? No. Okay. That's in a decent state. I want to run Clang format. Ran, that looks good. Sure, Clang Tidy would have a field day with some of the stuff I've written. I'm not going to look at it right now. This isn't an ideal solution long term because this one constructor would become super bloated. So I almost want to, like, system should be its own thing. This should be like the window. Is this the render loop system? System render loop? System renderer? Because at some point I also want to move the event handling, or not move it. I want the event handling happening on the main thread, and then the render loop here happening on the happening on a render thread. Is usually how I want to do that. But I don't have to do that right now or today. Render draw color, render clear color. So I need... I think I can add that to the window for now as like, I'll just call it color. Ooh, I don't have a color type, do I? I think I do. Do I have a color type? I do have a color type. With correct typing, so that's good. So I want to copy that. All right, so that should now mean it's a black background. Cool. So in main, I should be able to dot color equals dark gray. Perfect. Except dark gray probably isn't a thing. Oh, it is. Namespace colors, STL ECS. Oh, but I'm not like... Okay. Ooh, that kind of works well with that. I don't know what you would call that. Salmon colored rectangle, square. I don't know. All right. We got color for the window. What else do we need? So that handles clearing. Draw color. So this is going to have to move to a renderer. So that's going to be a drawable component. We could... We got to figure that out. So I've done this before too. under draw list, you create structs that represent anything you want to draw, and then I store it in a variant as a draw command. And then we will loop through a draw list to render everything. Ouch, my cat. Oh, hang on. What are you doing? I'll be right back. My cat does this thing where he'll walk up behind me while I'm sitting in this chair and then like reach up with his claws and dig into my side. Little twerp. All right, so we can start with a rectangle. Draw a rectangle, which is XY width, height, color, which is what this is. We can definitely do that. Set render draw color with a color type. Fill rectangle. Okay, yeah, that would work. Am I a senior in C? No, not at all. I'm a C++, not C. I know a little bit of C just from using C++ and using C libraries, but if you ask me like what are common idioms about C and like how you write proper C code, I'm not that guy. Okay, so render fill rect. So this is a fill rect. Let's we'll call it a color rect then. Let's see here. So we have a window, struct, color, rectangle. I feel like black's a bad default. It should be white, right? White should be the default. So we're eventually going to need. We're gonna have to do like a kind of like that draw command. I guess I can put that in here. Maybe I shouldn't call this components. Maybe I should call this. Well, I'll leave it alone for now. We're gonna need a variant. And we'll call this draw command variant color rectangle. That's fine. Ooh, that means we're going to need my overloaded, which I have. Okay, cool. So color rectangle has a XY width height. So I'm going to need a renderer. Elemento PQR. Hey, look at that. Convenient. Does the renderer own the renderer? Kind of makes sense. Does not own the window, though. I can tell you that. Oh, I could do this, though. That would make things a little easier to compose. So I create a renderer type inside this module class. What would I do? I would do like renderer pass in world and initialize the renderer. And then the renderer would have this block of code. Not really this block. It would have this block of code. So the renderer could own the pointer. So if I did that, I would have to instantiate the renderer here. So it doesn't need a window. It might need the device. Maybe I move the device with, do I keep the device with the window or the renderer? So now I'm thinking I create a window type to initialize all of this. Window renderer. We might even have a an event handler as well. Device. The renderer will eventually need the device, but because this stuff works right now, I'm not going to worry about the device. So that's a future fun and problem to deal with. We'll just not have a device. So we have a window and a renderer. So I need to create a renderer. Don't need the device. And then I suppose I don't think I need it to be a unique pointer. I bet I could just use it as an optional, right? Because this stuff is kind of self-contained. I'm not going to be passing it around or anything. I don't think. Let's start off with an optional and see what happens. So if I do an optional, I already forgot what I was doing. Renderer. I am new to programming. It's weird because I already shipped a React Native app on iOS and Android with Codex. Do you think that learning manual programming in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript is okay for long term? Yeah, it's I mean, at the end, it depends. I guess it depends on your goals, right? If you're learning because you want to learn, I would say just do it. If you're trying to make money, that becomes a little more difficult, right? Because what if you do generate an application and you do become successful, or maybe not successful, but popular? Like people become aware of your app, all right? And then what if feature requests start coming in? What if you're going to need to start changing code? What if you end up with 100,000 users who are paying you for this app to work? And you need to make a change quick, and then you go in to make a change because a patch is needed or something, right? And then what happens if most of your code was auto-generated, so you don't know how all the pieces interconnect? What do you do then, right? What if you make a breaking change? Did you set up your software pipelines to automate and make sure your code still works? It becomes a lot more complicated the more your application scales if you're using AI to generate your application. If you're doing a toy project, I mean, you do whatever you want, right? Me personally, and I'm biased because I learned in the time period of no AI, I strongly recommend you at least get your fundamentals down, right? And it's not just like knowing what an if statement is, knowing what a for loop is. It is how do you apply the tools that you are using to solve an actual problem, right? What design patterns do you make use of? How do you make your code scale? How do you organize your project structure so that you can easily go in and make a change and not break a bunch of code over in another folder, right? All of that is not necessarily going to be solved by AI. That is experience and practice, right? That's literally what I'm doing. I have used object-oriented programming most of my career, right? And that's literally inheritance, polymorphism, encapsulation, all the oops paradigms when it comes to C++. You are literally watching me practice. This is me practicing. And how am I practicing? I'm building something. What am I building? I don't know, a window with graphics, you know? But like, that's how you get better. You practice. And that's what I'm doing. I've been doing this for 15 years and I still practice. I work 40 hours a week, but I'm practicing, right? So I'm biased because I grew up practicing. So I recommend practice. Find something you enjoy, like find an actual project you would enjoy working on. You don't want to do something that would like bore the living hell out of you and then you lose motivation, right? All right, so we have an optional renderer that I can... Do I need the... I would need the window. So I would have to pass in the window as well, I guess. And this is a system. I don't really need the window to run this system. This is just a loop that has to run no matter what. So I don't need this. But I do need the window to pass in and instantiate a renderer. Funimation software, what is it? Funimation Studios, fun and software. You know what? I can get behind that. Oh, I was hoping I didn't have to like pass this window in if I could avoid it, but it looks like I need to pass the window in to create the renderer. I could just say to H with it and have this module own all of this. And just have like essentially what amounts to entity component system wrappers. So maybe I do that to start with. I can always clean this up later. Okay, so that's not going to work. Does that work for this? Yeah, because I think what'll inevitably happen is I'll create a window wrapper to put all this inside a window class. Yeah, okay. I think that's what I'll do. So then in here, I need the world and I need... Wait. Yeah, I need the renderer. Oops. Okay. I don't need the window here. I do need the window. Crap, I need the window for the color. But I could move that. What are you doing, cat? Why are you back? Hmm? Come here. You want to say hi to the stream? No? You're going to be a twerp? Come here. What are you doing? Ridiculous. I swear. He's going to attack me from behind, isn't he? So this is basically render begin. This is render end. I could... Maybe that's what I do. Okay, so maybe I don't need to do any of this. I might be making this too complicated, which I am known to do, so forgive me. So in here, I can just replace render draw color, fill rec, present. So this is render end, begin, end. I could replace this. So we still need the renderer pointer, but that's okay. This could literally might just become a function, right? This could be... How does this get populated? I think I do this somewhere. Submit, that's what it is. So where does submit get called? So you have a draw list. So you need something a little higher level to own that draw list. Here's my scene graph. Build the draw list. So here we loop over all of our entities, parent transforms, combine the transforms. If it has a drawable component, we loop over the drawable component's value. So that's how we're going to initialize. So that means this becomes like, let's not call it let's call it a drawable. Well, the app has 3 months, 238. In 1 month, it did make something like 10 updates. I did ship with bugs and almost break the Mac next to codecs because of how hard it was to reach a stable app. It's tough, especially if you let AI do all the work. What I've done in the past is I kind of lay out the groundwork. I know exactly what kind of architecture I want to use with my app. I know exactly where I want files to go, what folders to name them, what design patterns I want to spell out. And then you just like write a markdown document that describes all of this. That's literally like what you would call a software description document or a software architecture document. And you feed that into the AI, so it at least has a better idea of what you're trying to accomplish, and at least you create lanes for it, right? That way, if it does screw something up, it's screwing like one of the lanes up instead of like everything at once. Color rectangle, we have a drawable. We're gonna need something here to manage. So this is gonna, we do need a renderer. The renderer doesn't need to depend on, where are you, dude? Here, come here. Come here. Come here. Yep. Right. Here you go, guys. Here's the twerp that keeps scratching me in my back when he's out of sight. Right? Yeah. He'd say hi. Hmm. Hmm. No. Not gonna say hi. Oh, he said something. There you go. There you go. How's it going? You guys hear him? He gets so much louder. Yeah, don't you? Yeah, don't you? Yeah, he gets so much louder. Alright, I'm gonna go see what this cat wants. He keeps bugging me. The problem is, I will feed him. He has food, but he won't eat it unless I walk him to it. Anyone else have a high maintenance pet? Alright. I gave him a treat. Maybe he'll be calm now. Alright, so I want the renderer then to own the render order, which means it will have some functions in there to process all the entities to make sure like they're sorted, maybe Z order, grab their drawable components, and then submit the rendering. So I think what this might end up looking like is almost renderer dot sort world. So we could do something like that. And then we could do ooh. AI is saying we could call, which we could. We could remove anything that doesn't need to be drawn. How's it going, D-Ron? We'll eventually want to do renderer dot render renderer dot submit. Except this time it's going to be, so this will sort renderer dot build. So build will like create the draw list. I guess if I instantiate the renderer with like with the world, it'll just have it. So then I don't need to deal with that. So we can sort, build, submit. We sort, build the draw list, submit the draw. I think that works. That should be, I mean, that's pretty straightforward, I think. Obviously subject to change once I realize how wrong I am. We still need a pointer to the renderer, though. Because that's the only way these draw commands work. Like that. Straightforward. Then I don't need the renderer to maintain a pointer since this guy is actually the one who owns it. All right. So let's try that. So this guy needs a flex world. Now the question is, do I need Actually, do I even need to maintain that, or can I just pass it in during the sort and build step? Are these just standalone functions? No, because I do need to track. Maybe I don't. Um. Well, okay, so I do want a renderer to eventually like cache my textures and any fonts that get loaded. So that's why I will want a class to manage all that state for me. But for just like building a sorted list of drawables, I don't think I need a bunch of state to be remembered between frames. No, I don't think I do. Okay, so I need the world in order to grab the entities and their drawables. But I'm trying to figure out if I actually need it for sorting, for building. Sort, build. Yeah, I think I do. Okay. So, oh, but I really don't like keeping a reference. So maybe I'll just do this and be done with it. We'll do something like this. We create the renderer, then when we want to sort the entities, we pass in the world. We want to build the entities, we pass in the world. We want to render the entities, we submit the, or I don't know if we can draw, right? We can call it draw. Okay, so let's do that. Let's try that first. Oops. Whoops, so we don't really need this. What we need, oh, AI knows what I want. So we want sort, build, draw. Now the problem is, in order to sort, we need a component that gives us the data we need for sorting purposes. And I think I want to do, we need a transform, is basically what it boils down to. Do I have GLM? I think I have GLM. I have GLM. I'd rather not write my own transform code. We need a link against it, though. I'm sure I've done this somewhere already. I can just copy and paste. I'll just core have it. Oh, have I not done this? Does widget have it? Widget has it. Okay, so we need to find GLM. And we need to link against it. All right, I wasn't going to compile anyway. I just wanted to make sure CMake was aware of it. Let's close all this. Component. So I want to create a transform component. Include GLM. What of? I'm not gonna do 3D for now. It's just gonna be 2D. So I think I just need vec2. So we have a color rectangle, a window. Let's do a transform. Gives us position, scale, and rotation. Yeah, I think that's okay for now. You can also have CMake format. Oh, you can have CMake format? Oh, I want that so bad. What is that? Is it a tool or something? And how easy is it to get? CMake format. I can pip install it. Oh, is it? Wait, is it a Python tool? Is there an extension? How have I not known this? Holy shit! Oh my god! And it has like it's like popular. Popular's good. Oh, last release 6 years ago. It's not maintained. Yeah, I don't know if I want to use this extension. It's not. I try to not use extensions that aren't maintained. Python package. All right, I'll have to look into that later. I don't know if I have Python on my Windows side. I have it inside my dev container, but I'd have to install all that, and I try to not install too many tools needed if I can avoid it. But having a CMake formatter would be really cool. Transform. Did I need anything else to do the sorting and the transform updates? Ensure font. Submit. Where did I forget where I did that. Is that in widget? Might be in widget. Window. So we build a draw list, pass in a transform object that collects the state. Makes sense. Okay, so it's just a transform component, and then we have a world transform component that is not attached to an entity, it looks like. Except I don't want to do this. Do I? Oh, it's like, oh no, I don't want to do that. Okay. All right. There's an active one called Jersimi. Is that like a VS Code extension? Or is it, I see it in GitHub. Last updated a couple weeks ago. That's promising. Bunch of stars. That's really promising. Pip install Jersimi. Okay. Yeah, I'll have to look into that. That's really cool. Especially if I can like automatically, if I can get my project to automatically download it and use it. If that's the case, I'll definitely add it to my my pipeline workflow so that the pipelines fail if the CMake isn't formatted correctly. I am all about automated formatting so that I don't have to like stress about how how many spaces I want things to be. I just don't want to think about it. I have other things I want to try and solve. Is the world transform the same thing? Let's see here. SDL. Where did I put that? Where the hell is that? Okay, it's just defined here as a separate object. Okay. I don't know if I need to do it that way, though. Okay, just unused. Okay. So inside... I don't actually remember how to iterate. I think it's just entities.children. New here, what is an IXX file? IXX is C++ modules. It is the extension I landed on when I Googled what extension to use for C++ modules. And so that's the extension. It's still C++, but it's using the C++ 20 language standard of modules. So you'll see things like exporting a module, importing a module, the no more header files. It's all going to be defined in these module interface files, that kind of thing. I don't necessarily look to my code as like this is how modules should be written. I think modules in general were still kind of like it's still relatively new, even though it's C++ 20, which means that it was like what 6 years ago. I'm still learning modules myself because I never get to use it professionally, so that's why I'm practicing using it here. And so you're watching me figure all this out. I do have it compiling, though, on Windows, Mac, Linux, Android, and web browser, WebAssembly, which is kind of cool, I think. Oh, this isn't... This is all I really want to do now. I just want to build the draw list. I can do sort later. The draw list will loop over all of the entities with a drawable component. So that's really going to be a standard vector of drawable. We will import components. And then the submit function is where we will loop over our, or the draw function is where we will loop over our drawables. What am I making? Nothing in particular right now. I am kind of laying down the groundwork for potentially porting my game from Godot into a more modern C++ implementation. I'm also considering building like a little Twitch chat app that I can ingest chat messages and things like that, where I can parse the data and use that to maybe control applications with, and you know, be able to like play a game with Twitch, that kind of thing. Don't hold your breath on that. I suspect that's going to be a lot of effort, and I only have so much time a night to stream. Maybe if I was able to stream full time, that would be a different thing. But at a bare minimum, I want to at least try and get a small application framework up and running so I can actually build on top of it. And it's an excuse to explore the newer stuff that's coming out with C++ that I don't get to play with at work. And it, you know, helps keep my brain sharp, or I hope it does anyway. But maybe that gets negated by streaming. Who knows? And then probably not tonight, but I would like to try and get into a game or two, maybe once a week, that kind of thing. It would be kind of cool to just, you know, give your brain a mental rest and just, you know, yell at kids while I lose to people in Rocket League, you know, that kind of thing. Sort build. So here it's going to be more like world each. Yeah, there we go. It knows what I want. So it's going to grab the drawable components. So every entity that has a drawable. Except we don't do pushback anymore, okay? This is modern C++. We do in place back. You want to know why? Because pushback does in place back under the hood. If I right click on this, I wonder if it'll let me. No, it's not going to show me. This is, what is this? Oh, this is Microsoft's implementation. But used in place back. And my Clang Tidy is set up to call you out, or its default configuration is set up to call you out on that. Drawables, so that looks good. That'll build a drawable list, and now here is where we want to be able to do something like see, AI is getting ahead of me. Now, to be fair, I already implemented the components it needs to do this stuff, except it didn't do it correctly, so I need to fix that. Overloaded.ixx, I need to import this. Hey, Amp, how's it going? All right, so we're going to visit my variant, and currently I only support a color rectangle, so that's all we're doing here. And then if we have a color rectangle, it will do just that. I wonder, can I get away with... I just want to call it X. There we go. Okay, so we set the render color. We define a rectangle. Does it actually have to be an integer? I thought this was a float. Does a color rectangle only do an integer? Oop, I'm in the wrong file. Although static cast doesn't feel right, but I just got in. Yeah. So it makes sense if these float fields have to be stored as integers, then it's being done to be explicit instead of implicit for conversion purposes. But I thought I could do like an SDLF float rect, and then I don't need the static casts. The problem is I'm not super familiar with SDL API, so I'm kind of learning a bunch of this on the fly. Ooh, what in the world? What is it doing here? Okay, so we have an SDL rect. All right, let's see if that just... I guess let's just see if that compiles, huh? So we build our drawable list. I screwed something up. My formatting's wrong. Let's see. We got a parenthesis. I have too many of these. Nope. Oh my gosh. What's going on here? Overloaded takes a lambda, comma, comma. There we go. Yeah? Overloaded takes a lambda. I guess I'm gonna get rid of that comma. Yeah, and having the math done in float per subpixel actually, but the rendering is done likely 1 pixel level, so it all makes sense to me. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, CPPM is another one. I didn't realize that existed at the time that I was doing IXX. I guess it's apparently, I just found this out. IXX is a Visual Studio naming convention, and CPPM is a Clang GCC naming convention because, of course, all the compilers don't land on the same freaking thing. A little annoying. I'll probably switch to CPPM at some point if it ever like if there like there's not enough modules being written right now, and so I'll just wait and see who wins the race, and I'll just switch to whatever the most popular one is, because I don't honestly care either way too much. I just called the extensions Batman, you know. All right, what the heck am I doing wrong here? This is the lambda. This is the overloaded. Oh, if that's the case, this needs to go on the other side. Comma. Well, it doesn't like that either. I am doing something horrendously wrong. Overloaded. Oh, we don't want this. Oh, I'm missing my function closer. Jeez. Oh, it doesn't like this function. One language. Yeah, you're not wrong. That's the there's reason like C++ was designed in a time it was just a different time, right? And so the idea was C++ would be a specification, and then if you want to use C++ for your platform, then you need to write a compiler for your platform that follows the specification. And these days, more modern languages, it's more like, hey, this is how it will be, and it will work on all these platforms. We will do all that work for you, right? It's just a completely different way of building up a language. All right, so now I'm lacking some SDL knowledge. I thought fillrect would work, especially since it's called rectf. Oh, maybe my type is wrong. Does this need to be rectf? Or not? SDLF rect. Okay. All right, screw it. We're going integer because I don't know what's going on here. Component. Problem solved. Probably not, because I'm sure there's another problem here. I just don't know what I'm doing wrong. What the heck was I doing before? I was doing a render fill rect with an f rect. Render fill rect with an f rect. Okay. Should write a compiler? My God. I mean, if you ever want to know how compilers work, that's the way to go. As far as I'm concerned, they're an amazing piece of voodoo magic. They're like, it's like compilers and what compilers can do for you. It just blows my mind. I'm always impressed by how well they can optimize. Okay, so I don't need that. Don't need that. Yeah, no Vim. I'm sorry. I'm too I never got into Vim early in my career and it just never stuck. Every time I attempt it, I always get frustrated when I'm like sitting here trying to type in the editor and it won't type because I didn't type like A or I. It's like I shouldn't have to freaking type a letter before I can start typing. So I just never sat down and got good, you know? All right. All right, so we are now compiling again. That's good. That's promising. Renderer. Okay. So I will go back to trying to use an optional. New here will definitely follow. I'm writing a columnar database in C. The use case is spatial engine. Wow, that sounds crazy. I write most of my code manually. I'm not opposed to using AI here or there when I'm lazy. But when I'm trying to like learn how to use a new library, I definitely need to write it so I can understand it. This is more for fun than, trying to get something up and running as quick as possible. All right, so we're going to sort the world, build the world, draw the world. Maybe even cull the world. Mwahaha. Okay. So that will handle the color rectangle for any entity. So when we build, we're not going to do any sorting yet. We will collect our list of drawables. We need to clear it. And then for every drawable we collect, we will render with a position. All that's good. If this works, then I should be able to... I don't need this anymore. Yeah, I don't need this anymore. Be able to move this renderer here. This freaking AI, man. It added an F to the end of my function and it shouldn't. Oh. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I don't think this will be the solution long term. I need to set up Flex has a thing called pipelines, so I can set up different lanes of execution. So I really need like a pre-render step, which handles all the sorting and building of drawables, and then the render step that actually does the rendering. So in the meantime, in the interest of just trying to get something to work, I will cheat, and this probably isn't the smartest thing to do, but I'll capture the world. See if that does anything. But Flex already has like APIs to support this, so I shouldn't really have to do it this way. All right, if this works, we should not see a rectangle. Ha! Perfect. Called it. I'm so good. All right, so let's actually get a rectangle added here as a component of an entity by doing this. Let's call it an entity rectangle world.entity, and then we'll do er.set color rectangle. All right. If I was, ooh, no, that's not how this works. This needs to be a drawable. And it's dot value needs to be a color rectangle. Oh, did I do that? I might not have added that. Hang on. I think I just call it drawable then. For now. Is that going to be okay if I do that? I think that's going to be okay. So this needs to be a color rectangle that I call a drawable. But I don't think that's what I want to do long term. Drawable is undeclared. Nowadays, you can delegate most of Voodoo Magic to LLVM. You're not wrong. All right, if this works, first try, boom! Entity component system drawing shapes. Is it better than object-oriented programming? I think object-oriented programming might be a little easier to understand, especially as your application gets more complex. But there is something to be said about composition versus object-oriented programming. So that's kind of cool. Pretty cool. I like that. That worked out pretty well. And I can cover up chat for that. Are you planning to move rendering to a system or keep it tied to components? Rendering will definitely be a system. So like right now, I have it kind of wrapped in this object right here, but with flecs, F-L-E-C-S, that's the entity component system library I'm using, a third-party open source library. It supports different like phases of processing. So I need to write some custom phases. They're called pipelines, and then have like a pre-render, a render, and a post-render pipeline to handle like sorting, calling, building the render list, that kind of thing. Hey, yes, I'm just toying with some C++ and some graphics and entity component system. I just got done drawing a window with a pretty red rectangle, and that's kind of where I'm at right now. I should be able to hit the escape key and it closes. Sweet. That worked. I want to create a branch to put this on. ECS take 2. Working window and rectangle for ECS. Commit. Publish. All right. Well, I guess, honestly, I guess the next step would be to try and get those pipelines set up and get figured out. But that might have to be for another stream. I have been doing this for about 2.5 hours, which is about where I'm at right now. I'm exhausted. I really appreciate everyone coming by. I do plan to stream usually around 5:30 Eastern Standard Time, 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. I'll probably continue to build on this unless I come up with something else. Ideally, I would like to find some ideas that I can just do in short bursts. Thursdays, maybe I might look at playing a video game. I'm not sure. I don't know if the games I like to play is what anyone wants to watch, that kind of thing. We'll see. But yeah, I really appreciate you guys coming by. And if you found me on YouTube, I really appreciate you checking me out, because I was not expecting that YouTube short to do as well as it has done. And it is blowing my mind. So hopefully you're learning something. If not, hopefully you can ask questions and then maybe learn something. And if not, I apologize. There's only so much I can do in 2.5 hours. But either way, I really appreciate you stopping by, and I will catch you later. See ya.